You can't get them out of your head. But the million-dollar question is, are you on their mind too? We've all been there staring at our phone, rereading old texts, analyzing every glance, and just wondering if the connection we feel is real or a story we're telling ourselves. It's that tricky space between hope and anxiety, and it's filled with a whole lot of mental replays. You find yourself scrolling through their social media or old conversations looking for a sign, a clue, anything that proves you're not the only one feeling this way. This constant loop of thinking about someone is exhilarating when you know it's mutual, but it can be agonizing when you're left in the dark. But what if there were subtle, psychological signs that could give you a peek behind the curtain? What if their subconscious was sending you signals you just weren't seeing? Today we're exploring 7 key indicators that you're both thinking about each other constantly. We're going to move beyond the obvious stuff and get into the psychological undercurrents that connect two people. But we're also going to do something really important. Help you tell the difference between a true, healthy connection and a potentially unhealthy fixation. Because sometimes what feels like love can be a different beast entirely. A state of mind psychologists call limerence. So if you're ready for some clarity and want to finally understand the invisible threads connecting you to that special someone, stick around. We're about to decode the language of mutual attraction. Sign 1, the gaze that lingers. First up, a huge psychological sign that you're on each other's minds is the quality of your eye contact. It's not just about looking at each other. It's about how you look. It's that gaze that holds on for a beat too long. The glance that almost feels like a physical touch. The look that says everything without saying a word. Psychologically, this is one of the most powerful and primitive ways we connect. There's a famous experiment where strangers were asked to gaze into each other's eyes for just a couple of minutes. The result: many reported a dramatic spike in feelings of attraction and intimacy. An anecdote from a similar experiment even says one of the pairs got married a year later. Why? Because a mutual gaze does more than just see a person. It signals trust, vulnerability, and genuine interest. It's a non-verbal invitation that says, I see you and I want you to see me. When two people are constantly thinking about each other, their eye contact becomes a private conversation. You might lock eyes across a crowded room, and for a second, everything else just melts away. It's not a quick, polite glance. It feels substantial, like you're on your own secret frequency. This kind of intense connection is what floods your brain with all those feel-good chemicals associated with attraction and bonding, like oxytocin, the love hormone. But here's where you need to pay attention. In a healthy, mutual connection, this eye contact feels warm, safe and reciprocated, is usually met with a soft smile or an equally engaged look. If the eye contact feels intense to the point of being unsettling, or if they consistently look away, it can create anxiety instead of connection. So ask yourself, does it feel like a gentle pull or a desperate grab? The answer tells you a lot about whether this is a shared feeling or a one-sided fixation. Sign 2, the mirroring effect, the second sign, is a bit sneakier because it happens on a subconscious level. You start mirroring each other. Mirroring is when you unconsciously imitate someone's gestures, their way of speaking, or even their posture. When you like someone and want to build a connection, your brain instinctively tries to create harmony by subtly copying them. Ever been deep in conversation and realize you both leaned in at the exact same time. Or maybe you've caught yourself using a quirky phrase they always use. Perhaps they cross their legs right after you do, or tilt their head in that same curious way. This isn't just you being a copycat. It's a deep psychological signal of alignment. It's your brain's way of saying, hey, I get you, we're on the same page. This is all thanks to mirror neurons in our brains. These cool little cells fire up not only when we do something, but also when we see someone else do it. They're basically the foundation of empathy. When there's a strong mutual attraction, these mirror neurons are working overtime, creating a kind of synchronized dance between the two of you. When you're both constantly thinking about each other, this mirroring becomes even more obvious. You'll find your energies, and even your movements start to sync up without any effort. It can go beyond body language too, like when you both blurt out the same thought, or finish each other's sentences. It's a sign that your minds are truly tuned into one another. But here's the catch. Real mirroring is subtle and natural. If you find yourself deliberately copying their every move to get them to like you, it's not a subconscious sign anymore. It's a strategy, and it can come off as inauthentic. In a healthy, dynamic mirroring is a two-way street. If you notice you're the only one doing all the adapting, it might be a sign that the connection isn't as mutual as you'd hoped. Sign 3. Remembering the little things. The third psychological sign is all about the details. When someone is constantly on your mind, your brain turns into a sponge. For every little piece of information about them, you remember the name of their childhood dog, that story about their disastrous first car, their oddly specific coffee order, or a funny thing they said weeks ago. From a psychological standpoint, this isn't just about having a good memory. Our brains are wired to prioritize what we find important. When you're emotionally invested in someone, your brain basically puts a VIP tag on all information related to them. The emotional center of your brain, the amygdala, teams up with your memory center, the hippocampus, to make sure those details stick. So if you find yourself easily recalling tiny things about them, and more importantly, they remember the little things about you, it's a massive sign of mutual investment. When they bring up something you mentioned offhand a month ago, it's a clear signal that you're taking up significant real estate. In their mind, it shows they're not just hearing you, they're listening. This act of remembering is a quiet way of saying, you matter to me. Sign 4, the shared sense of humor. The fourth sign is one of the most fun and joyful indicators of a mutual connection. A shared sense of humor. This is about more than just laughing at the same knock jokes. It's about creating a private world of humor that only the two of you really get. It's the inside jokes, the playful teasing, and the ability to find something funny in almost any situation. Together, research shows that shared laughter is a critical ingredient for bonding. When you laugh together, your brains release endorphins, which creates a powerful feeling of happiness and safety. A study from the University of Kansas, found that the biggest predictor of relationship satisfaction wasn't just having a funny partner, but having a partner who shares your specific style of humor. It's a way of affirming that you see the world in a similar way. When you're both thinking about each other, this shared humor becomes a secret language. You can make each other laugh with just a look or a single word, because you're both so tuned in to how the other's mind works. That playful banter is a sign of comfort and pure enjoyment in each other's company. When someone goes out of their way to make you laugh and genuinely cracks up at your jokes, it's a solid indicator of interest. But like all these signs, humor has a flip side. It should be a bridge, not a weapon. If the banter veers into mean-spirited territory, or one person is always the butt of the joke, it's not a sign of affection anymore. Sometimes aggressive humor can be a mask for passive aggression, or an attempt to establish dominance in a mutual caring connection. The humor is uplifting and makes you both feel good. If the laughter consistently comes at your expense, it's a warning that the connection might not be as healthy as it seems. Sign 5, the feeling of synchronicity. This fifth sign starts to feel a little magical, but it's a concept deeply rooted in psychology. Synchronicity, coined by psychologist Carl Jung, synchronicity refers to meaningful coincidences that seem to be linked, but not by a direct cause and effect. When you and another person are constantly on each other's minds, you might notice these synchronistic events popping up more and more. Maybe you're thinking of them, and your phone lights up with their name a second later. Or you randomly decide to try a new coffee shop, and there they are. Perhaps you both start humming the same obscure song at the same time, or find out you share a weirdly specific hobby you thought no one else on Earth was into. Jung believed these weren't just random chance, but moments that revealed a deeper connection. When two people are on the same mental and emotional wavelength, it's as if the universe gives you these little nods of encouragement. These synchronicities feel like the world is confirming your internal feelings, reinforcing the idea that this connection is special. It creates a feeling that you're on the right path, or that this person was meant to show up in your life. However, it's important to stay grounded here. While these events can be beautiful signs of alignment, an anxious mind can start seeing patterns that aren't really there. This is a cognitive trap known as confirmation bias, where we hunt for evidence that supports what we want to believe. If you're desperately trying to find meaning in every little thing, you might just be forcing a narrative. True synchronicity feels surprising and effortless. If you feel like you're manufacturing the magic, it might be a sign you're slipping from a healthy connection into a one-sided fixation. Sign 6, emotional resonance and intuition. This next one is deep. You develop a powerful emotional resonance and a strong gut feeling about each other. This is more than just empathy. It's the uncanny ability to sense what the other person is feeling, even when you're apart and haven't spoken. Psychologists call this emotional attunement. Have you ever been hit with a sudden, unexplained wave of sadness, only to find out later they were having a really bad day? Or maybe you felt a burst of joy for no reason, and later learned they just got great news. This is a sign your emotional states might be syncing up. When two people are deeply connected, it's as if there's an invisible cord between you, transmitting emotional information back and forth. This is also where your intuition kicks into high gear. Your gut feelings about them become incredibly strong, and usually right on the money. You just know when something is on their mind, or you get a sudden urge to check in on them. Intuition isn't magic. It's your subconscious mind processing thousands of tiny clues, like micro-expressions and shifts in tone, that your conscious mind missed. When you're intensely focused on someone, your intuition becomes hyper-attuned to them. But how can you tell if it's a healthy connection or an unhealthy one? In a mutual bond, these intuitive feelings are usually calm, clear and lead to supportive actions, like sending that thinking of you text at just the right moment. In an obsessive fixation, however, intuition often gets hijacked by anxiety. Instead of clear gut feelings, you get a constant stream of paranoid thoughts. I just know they're mad at me. Or I have a bad feeling they're losing interest. That's usually not intuition talking. That's your anxiety projecting your fears. True intuition brings peace. Anxiety fuels turmoil. Sign 7. Comfortable silence. The final and perhaps most telling sign is your ability to share a comfortable silence. In a world that's constantly buzzing with noise and pressure, being able to just be with someone in total silence, without it feeling awkward, is a rare and beautiful thing. In the early days of getting to know someone, silence can feel like a terrifying void that you have to fill with nervous chatter. But when a deep mutual connection is formed, silence stops being an absence of something and becomes a presence in itself. It's a shared space of peace where words aren't needed. As one writer put it, if two souls can't communicate in silence, no words will ever be enough. When you're both secure in the knowledge that you're on each other's minds, you don't need constant verbal proof. You can be in the same room, each doing your own thing, and still feel completely together. This quiet presence is a powerful form of communication that says, I am so comfortable with you that I don't have to perform. I can just be myself. This might be the ultimate test of a mutual connection versus a one-sided fixation. An anxious mind hates silence. It leaves too much room for insecure thoughts to rush in. Someone who is obsessing will feel a desperate need to fill that void, to soothe their anxiety, often misinterpreting silence as rejection or disinterest. But in a truly reciprocal bond, silence is a sanctuary. It's the ultimate sign of trust. Proving the connection is so strong, it doesn't need constant maintenance. It simply is. Trying to figure out if someone feels the same way is a universal human experience. Luckily, our hearts and minds do leave clues. Today, we've talked about the lingering gaze, the subconscious dance of mirroring, the quiet care of remembering small details, the secret language of shared humor, the magic of synchronicity, the deep hum of intuition, and the profound peace of comfortable silence. When these signs are a two-way street, they paint a beautiful picture of a real connection. But it's just as important to stay grounded and be honest with yourself. By understanding the difference between a healthy bond and an unhealthy fixation, you empower yourself to trust what feels safe and reciprocal, and to question what feels anxious and one-sided. True connection should ultimately bring you peace, not chaos. It should build you up, never break you down. So what are your thoughts? Did any of these signs give you a moment of clarity? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, so you don't miss our next deep dive into the psychology of human connection.